Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian at Whisper Status 74. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you're seeing me, please consider liking and subscribing. We are a very small tech community, real tech for real people. Today's topic is a tech therapy video. These are rather long. These are deep dives on comments and questions that you guys have had in the community. Before I start the video, I want to thank everybody for being the most amazing, positive community that I've seen on YouTube and I've ever been a part of. You guys are amazing. You guys are from all different walks of life and countries, and all you do is help one another without tearing each other down. It is the most positive community I have ever seen, and I am so amazed by you guys and the way you help each other and ask me how I am, and we are there for each other. It really is amazing, and I am so very thankful for you. I have not put out nearly as much content as I would like. I plan on putting out videos either twice a day or once a day. Things are pretty crazy in my community, in my own life, within my own family, as far as health issues, career issues. Things are a little crazy, just like you guys are going through. It's not really an excuse, it's just kind of a reality. I'm also trying to time content by premiering videos to talk to you guys in the videos. I want to do live streams. I'm going to just start putting out content. I'm trying to time it for different countries. I'm going to just start putting things out, and if it gets watched, it gets watched. Also, if you're part of the channel and part of the community, please make sure that you are subscribed and make sure you have the notifications on, because I will be putting out much more content. That said, today's video is on HDMI 2.1. FreeSync, G-Sync, InSync. It's getting to be something that you guys are asking me about every day. And not in an inquisitive way, but in a concerned fashion. There are several camps that are concerned with HDMI 2.1. HDMI 2.1, like 8K, HDR, Dolby Vision, 4K, it has this now kind of moniker where we want it, we're afraid of it, do we know if we want it, do we need it, but I want it. That's the tech industry, the AV industry as a whole. That's what so many of us really look at. And we want things we don't always need, especially now with all the craziness that's happening in the world. I would love to tell you all to be content and to be grateful. People's careers are changing or whatever, but that's not the reality of what we want, especially when we're home. We're still going to want to upgrade. So we're going to talk about a couple different camps that fall under this. HDMI 2.1 specifications are easy to find online. I'm not going to read them off a chart for you, but what mostly concerns us as people that are into televisions and gaming displays and in movies is 4K 60, 4K 120. 8K is not something I hear many people being very concerned about. I'm not hearing, very few people are asking me, Bri, should I get an 8K display? Should I buy an 8K display? I think because there's so little 8K or if any 8K content, many of you are not asking me that. The challenge is, many of you are asking about HDMI 2.1, but the lack of content is kind of the same as 8K. Now, bear with me in this conversation. There is your PC community, people that have been gaming on PCs for years. They've had 1080p 60, 1080p 120, 144, 240. They've had this for a very long time. Monitors, IPS panels, low latency, low input lag. These are terms that console gamers and people that own displays have been getting accustomed to within the last 3 or 4 years. We've always been aware of refresh rate, but a lot of console gamers have been focused on 1080p, sub 1080p, 30 FPS. Some games are 60 FPS, but they weren't 1080p. A lot of 360 games were 720p. So we've always been, as console gamers, very far behind PC. And in my opinion, with the Xbox One and the PS4, console games were behind out of the jump. They couldn't reach 1080p. The PS4 could do 1080p, but very blurry. A lot of games were 30 FPS. They were sub 1080p. So that was during 1080p era. We couldn't reach 1080p. Then we had the Xbox One S, then the Xbox One X, and the PS4 Pro. In my opinion, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X were exactly what we should have gotten out of the gate. Maybe not even at 4K, but solid 1080p 60. As a console gamer that became a PC gamer with the GTX 980, so it'd be almost 5 years ago, I can speak with specificity what it's like to go from console to PC. Why do I bring this up? Is I feel like many of you that have these questions about HDMI 2.1 are console gamers that are about to buy a display that is going to be followed by a console, which for my opinion is more similar to a PC than ever. especially with the Series X and the PS5. So for the first time, I'm finding a lot of TV people be more concerned with frame rate, with ray tracing, with a lot of these terms that were basically for PC people. So what I'm having is a lot of console guys that are very concerned with all these numbers. G-Sync, FreeSync, V-Sync you guys have had on console built into games for years. You just didn't know it. The biggest thing that we're talking about here is screen tearing, is having the highest frame rate possible, the smoothest gaming possible. But the thing is, I think with all the numbers that are getting thrown around, your console gamers that are looking to buy these new consoles, you're hearing all of the specs, you're hearing teraflops, you're hearing GPU, you're hearing speeds, Digital Foundry, one of my favorite sites. You're watching vertical slices of games. That has been around since the beginning of gaming, showing you faster load times, SSD, quick. You don't want to be left out, and I completely understand that. Being somebody who's got a PC on a large TV, 100 plus games, I've been able to enjoy 4K 60 for a while. Sorry about that. For a while. Not all games at Ultra, a lot of games at Ultra. I've had an SLI setup. I now have a 1080 Ti. I was going to upgrade to an RTX. I'm going to wait for the next cards because of HDMI 2.1. But why am I going to wait? Well, I'm already enjoying a good frame rate, a lot of games at Ultra. As a console gamer, me having the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, I will tell you, yes, you're enjoying much improved visuals over the base Xbox One and the PS4. Especially PS4, what they can do with their exclusive titles is absolutely amazing graphically. The Xbox One X to me is just kind of like a PC. A lot of the games are absolutely gorgeous. In my humble opinion, they really cannot compare to PC in the sense of how clean PC games are. So yes, you can enjoy 4K here, but you're not getting all the anti-aliasing and all the features you get on PC, or the customization you get on PC. That's not really the argument though. What we're talking about here is console gamers that are trying to buy displays that are worried about HDMI 2.1. This is the camp. Those of you that don't have to upgrade, you have just bought, no, let's start this. Those of you that don't have to upgrade, you have displays from last year, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, and you're concerned. You don't want to miss out on the features of the next, consoles. Variable refresh rate, FreeSync, G-Sync, auto low latency gaming, things that you're hearing like that you're hearing on so many channels, including my own. You don't want to miss those things. I completely understand that. Then you have the other camp that is like myself, that is going to upgrade, going up, maybe up in size, and we're going to get that feature and buy that feature because we're hardcore gamers. Then there's the other camp that's coming into this for the very first time, and you're nervous because you're about to buy a display during a pandemic where the reviews that we're used to are not going to come out from the larger reviewers that give us the numbers, like Vincent from HDV Test and Ratings.com, and the ones that give us the specific numbers like refresh rate and cover all the incremental things that we all pore over. They are valuable sites for that. That won't be happening the way it is. RTings is not even open right now, so they won't be reviewing the way we're used to. So that's leaving that group in the dark. Normally, you would have not only the 2020 displays coming out, but you'd be able to buy the 2019 displays with confidence. 2018 displays, you know what they can do. We can always refer to last year. We did that all last year as referring to the year before. The problem is HDMI 2.1. Wasn't on many displays last year. There was only one real G-Sync display last year, which was the C9. The NanoCell might have been upgraded to it. I'm not sure about that, but the C9 was the one that had G-Sync. Samsung has had variable refresh rate. They've had some of those features in it. Sony not having it on their newer display is confusing many. What do I buy? So we're going to focus on that group first. Upgrading to HDMI 2.1, many of you are not going to utilize its full potential yet. What I mean by that is playing on 4K 60. Many of you have not even experienced 4K 60 yet. You've experienced on the PS4 Pro 4K 30, you've experienced 1440p, you've experienced dynamic resolution, you've experienced these resolutions you'll see on Digital Foundry where the middle of the screen is 4K, the end of the screen. They have all these different ways to go horizontal, horizontal, vertical, to try and make the resolution appear that you're not really looking at the outside of the screen. Really smart techniques to give you that experience. Yet you're not really seeing 4K at 60. So what many of you are doing is skipping over 4K at 60 and thinking 4K 120. Because of the marketing of these consoles, of the vertical slices, you guys are thinking that these next displays, these consoles, are going to come out at 4K 120. Having no idea how hard it is to actually do 4K 60. How PCs are struggling to do it. The 2080 Ti, which is the top card right now, cannot do it consistently. So will these new consoles be able to do it? I get links from you guys every day. You're showing me links to all these different channels. Digital Foundry. I watch the same stuff you watch. I know exactly what the big sites are saying in terms of what they're promising. I'm telling you my opinion. I shouldn't say it that way. My opinion is the goal, and I've been saying this for the last year and a half, is 4K 60. Why does that matter? We're going to jump back really quick from that group to the group that has a capable display. This display is a Sony 900E. It has 4 HDMIs. Only 2 of them are full bandwidth. Why is that important? Only 2 of them can do 4K 60. The other 2 are limited to 4K 30. Now, for some of you that have 4K displays that are limited to 4K 30, that is going to be challenging. That there is a group of displays that are out there that were only 4K 30. My buddy Paul has an LG, cannot game on it for that reason. That group already knows it because you've already seen that with your PS4 Pro and even your Xbox One X. It'll be checked off as not being able to accomplish that. That group, I think you should upgrade to 4K 60, but that is the baseline and the max. What I mean by that is this display here is a 2017. It will give me all of the visuals of the new consoles, meaning you'll have your 4K, you'll have 60 frames per second. Visually, let me go back. Visually is what we're going to talk about here. Visual and performance. 60 FPS for console gamers is something that we all want. Steady 60 FPS. For the PC crew, the guys and girls that are out there that are hardcore PC, that go way above that, this conversation isn't really, you're not really in this conversation that way. You know what you like. You've been playing on Predators for however long. You've been using DisplayPort. So this conversation is really aimed towards those of you that have asked me these questions in the last few weeks, last few months actually. 4K 60. I've been playing on this Doom 2016, enjoying clean. You can get close up to the screen, 4K 60. If I had a capable GPU, I would be enjoying ray tracing. These have nothing to do with HDMI 2.1, meaning that you're not going to be left out. There's nothing on these new consoles that you're going to be left out from as far as 4K 60. Visually, the games will look exactly the same whether you have an HDMI 2.1 capable display or an HDMI 2.0 capable display. It will look the same. Performance-wise, down the road, when games can do 4K 120, does that mean maybe some remasters won't come out right away that'll say, hey, I can take advantage of 4K, maybe Half-Life, old games? Maybe. Is that enough for you to sell your display and buy a new one for that feature? 4K 60 will be the baseline. Every console that's ever come out from Atari has promised one thing, has never really delivered it at launch, and it's taking years to get there. Look how long it took the Xbox One and the PS4 Pro to actually reach what they were looking for. Years. So trying to buy a display in anticipation for a console that won't reach that. If you bought an 8K display last year, or if you had HDMI 2.1 last year, how much were you able to utilize that? But you would be okay 4K 60 visually. You'll have all the same features. You won't lose anything graphically. And you'll be at 60 FPS, meaning the 4K will be very, very smooth. The image will look beautiful as the same as someone who has an HDMI 2.1. For me, 4K 60 will be the baseline. Ray tracing is what we're seeing on PC. The GPUs of the GTX 2080 and 2080 Ti were killed a little bit for being close to the 1080. Ray tracing is what they were pushing marketing-wise. They wanted to offer something else, not just horsepower. Because a lot of people were finding they were getting 60 FPS. They didn't need to spend $2,000 to have a few extra FPS. So they had to add ray tracing. Sound familiar? HDR, Dolby Vision, all of these effects. But here's the thing. These consoles are going to be doing ray tracing, and you'll be able to watch them on your 4K 60, which you already have. Now, they're 120 hertz panels, they're 60 hertz panels. We're talking about 4K 60 being the bandwidth of HDMI 2.0. So we have that. So your TCLs, your Vizios, your displays from last year. I have people with Sony 930Es. I have people with Sony A9Gs, Samsungs that want to get rid of their displays for HDMI 2.1. You guys are very concerned about this. Do not be concerned. Here's why. The picture quality on the newer displays, both LED and OLED, in my honest opinion, have not improved in the last few years. Some have taken a step back as far as what they want. They want black level, they want brightness. OLEDs to me look very much the same from year to year. The C8 and the C9 look very similar. From what I've seen of the CX, it looks similar as well. All very beautiful. But you might find, even with an LED, that you might upgrade for HDMI 2.1 and you might not be happy with the picture quality. So frame rate, all those things, especially on a small monitor where the pixel density and all those things matter, it's not as noticeable. You go from a 75-inch TV you love to a 75-inch with HDMI 2.1 and it's not better picture quality-wise, it's going to make you crazy. Doesn't matter how smooth it is, especially since you won't be taking advantage of HDMI 2.1 for a very long time. Meaning, also, if these new consoles did come out and they rock 4K 120 right out the door, you're still covered with what you have. The graphics will not be better. With GPUs, the reason we upgrade them is not only to run higher frame rates, it's to run higher settings. Now, you've seen that with console games. They've offered 1080p, performance modes, 4K modes. They've added some options. They're not going to all of a sudden add anti-aliasing options. It's going to be a console experience. You'll have faster load times. You'll have all those things. And you'll still be able to enjoy them on the displays that you already have. You want to upgrade because you want a larger display? Fine. If you have a display that you think isn't, not fine, but I mean you should. What I'm trying to say is don't make HDMI 2.1 the reason you either want to upgrade or have to upgrade unless you're ready, or make you have buyer's remorse because you just recently bought a display. I have people that just bought 900Fs, Z9Fs, Q90s, Q80s, Q70s, TCLs, Vizios that are saying, oh my God, I can't believe I'm not going to be able to utilize these consoles. Guys, your display is going to utilize them. 4K 60 is amazing. Again, if you're a PC person that goes 240 hertz, 240, FPS, this is not going to make sense to you. But for the majority of the guys that are asking me this question, and the reason why I know this is if you're asking me these questions, then you're not one of the people that's been running PCs for years on monitors. So we are a very interesting group that are going from couch gaming to PC gaming to consoles that are going to be running PC-like settings, not just visually, but frame-wise. They are also that group that wants to upgrade, don't upgrade just for that. Enjoy the displays that you have, again, unless you're looking to go up in size or you want better picture quality. I would not upgrade for 120 FPS that isn't going to be available yet. And even if it is available at launch, that's next year. Who knows when they'll launch? Wait for them to come out. Wait to see how they perform before you buy a console or display for them. Those of you that are on the verge of buying, you want to buy right now. Again, like I said before, the challenge is the reviews aren't out and you're not able to get the numbers that you're used to. I would hold off. I would wait. Other than like the LG CX, which we know is beautiful and has G-Sync and all that, that's the one that's proven. You'll see the nano cells will have it this year. A lot of the other companies will also have HDMI 2.1 this year. Your group that wants to buy and be on the cutting edge, I would say yes, look for HDMI 2.1. If you're a big gamer and you want to be as future-proof as possible, then yes, when you make your purchase, HDMI 2.1 is a factor. For myself, it is a factor. Last year, LG C9, Sony A9G, right? A9G is absolutely gorgeous. C9 is absolutely gorgeous. Being a gamer, especially a PC gamer, the HDMI 2.1 will sway my purchase. Now, if someone gave me an A9G, would I be happy? Absolutely. Would I upgrade from the A9G to an HDMI 2.1? No. I would enjoy 4K 60 for years and years and years. I don't have an A9G. So I will be looking, but I'll be taking advantage of it. I will have a graphics card here that will use G-Sync right off the bat, right from jump. So that is a specific group that is upgrading to that. That's got nothing to do with the consoles. Now the consoles, variable refresh rate, some of you guys are enjoying that already on your Samsung Q90s. Some of you guys want to upgrade to full bandwidth HDMI 2.1. I would say enjoy that display. There's no reason to upgrade yet, not for HDMI 2.1. So there is a lot of you frantic. You're seeing things on channels and you need this and you need that. I get that. My concern is your state of mind. My concern is when you upgrade, if you're happy with what you have. I personally don't care what you buy. What I care is what makes you happy. Doesn't matter to me if it's Sony, Vizio, TCL, Hisense, Sharp, Philips. I don't care. As long as the end of it, you're happy. When people ask me what's the best display, my thing is, what are you looking for? What's the best display for you and your needs? For me, it has to be larger than the Sony 900E. I want a larger display. I want HDMI 2.1, but I'm ready for it. But if I don't, and I can't, because right now I can upgrade as I was ready to, I already know that I have HDMI 2.0. I already have 4K 60, and I'm very happy at 4K 60. I can do 1080p 120. I can do forced 1440p if I want. I barely ever use those. Actually, never use those features. The 950H can do 1080p 120. I'm not even using it. 60, I want I want visual fidelity. Things to look as good as possible. That's just me, but that's what many of you want, picture quality wise. If you're not worried about picture quality, buy a monitor with the lowest input lag, the lowest latency. You can do 4K 120 now with DisplayPort. You can enjoy that now and spend nowhere near the money you do on these displays. All right, so that is the group looking to buy. Now, looking to buy, what I mean is if you want to save money, the best way to always save money is to buy last year. Is to grab your Q80s, to grab your Q90s, to grab your 900Fs, your 950Gs, to grab your OLEDs from last year, 8F8s and 8.8Gs and A9Gs. It's always been the way. I wouldn't say don't buy those displays. Z9F, all these gorgeous displays are going to give you 4K 60. You will be very, very happy. And you're not paying a premium. You'll be paying far less. But for many of you, that's not an option anymore. Because somewhere in the middle of last year, HDMI 2.1 became a huge concern for many of you. Even though we've been talking about it for over a year and a half. For many of us, the big difference is in HDMI 2.1, it's 12-bit. That's not coming. That's where your HDR is going to change. That's where you'll see a higher Dolby Vision or a higher HDR or a dynamic HDR. That's not what we're talking about. HDMI 2.1, without that, without the color space changing, isn't going to affect the image quality. We're talking about performance. And I will tell you, those of you that are console gamers, you'll be very happy at 4K 60. And that's what, for me, is going to be available for the first year, 2 years. Except for maybe very few titles. So we covered the new group. The new group, either wait for the new displays to be reviewed and then make your purchase based on what you always have. Value, picture quality, then HDMI 2.1. What hurts the Sony displays isn't that it doesn't have HDMI 2.1. It's that its competitors do. If none of them had it, or if their last year model, if this model did have it and last year's model didn't, that would delineate them. The challenge with this display is that it's so similar to last year's, there's very little reason to upgrade. And the fact that its competitors, the ones that are much cheaper, are going to have it on all of their HDMIs, TCL, Hisense, the cheaper brands are going to have it, is what really hurts this. Doesn't mean you can't buy this display. Doesn't mean you won't enjoy amazing picture quality. It's just going to be harder for those of you that could pay a premium for what isn't there. That's what reminds me of Dolby Vision. I've recommended Samsung for years, with or without Dolby Vision. But Dolby Vision is a visual thing. It's nice to have. HDMI 2.1 will be nice to have, but it won't be necessary and fully utilized by the majority of you. The base and max of 4K 60 can be enjoyed by most of you right now. Right now. Right now. And it'll look amazing. You'll enjoy ray tracing. And trust me, why I brought up ray tracing is that is visual. But I think the game developers are going to want to show you visual feasts versus refresh rate. Once they have the 60 baseline on console, they're not going to worry about pushing you to 120. They're going to worry about giving you ray tracing, which, believe me, is graphically intensive, frame rate intensive. So you might actually see this. You might see 4K 30 with ray tracing or 4K 60 without it. Either way, you'll be able to enjoy that through HDMI 2.0. You don't need HDMI 2.1. So we covered the new group. I would still recommend last year's displays, or if you want to save the money. There's amazing displays from last year that aren't HDMI 2.0. As far as 2.1, as far as buying new displays, I would wait till they come out and are fully reviewed. But I would always wait for that. I would always wait unless you want a certain manufacturer. Sony's confusing this year with the 900H and the 950H and what has full bandwidth. And I'm not a big conspiracy guy. I don't believe that this is going to be updated because it makes no sense to hurt themselves and not update it or not make it available right now. There's no advantage to hiding HDMI 2.0. Doesn't mean it's not true. There's no advantage to it. Okay. Now the other group. There is another group that is back here. So we have the group that wants to upgrade. So back to that group. 930Es, 900Fs, Sony, Samsung. Guys, unless you're going up in size, keep your displays. Those of you, again, that are looking to make purchases, wait or buy last year's models that are fully reviewed and are much cheaper. And this other group, which is where I am, which is I want it, but I'd rather wait for it. Would I take it now? Absolutely. If I didn't have, for example, if I didn't have a YouTube channel or community, the C9 would be the display I would grab. I wouldn't hesitate. I know the picture quality of the CX is very good as well. I have faith the C9 is amazing. I would grab that in a heartbeat. I would use the G-Sync. I would use all its capabilities. But I'm okay not getting it for now. But I'm confident that even if next year 4K 120 is out, I know visually I'll be enjoying the experience with a very fast frame rate. Now, screen tearing, things like that you're seeing, very few console games have screen tearing that I've noticed. The new Modern Warfare and Warzone, once in a while during multiplayer, you'll see a little screen tearing. VSync is enabled automatically on those titles. For PC gamers, when I came over to this, how many years ago with the Panasonic Plasma and the GTX 980, then in SLI, yeah, screen tearing, you had to either apply VSync, pre-rendered frames, you had to do, the scaling wasn't great on Windows. The consoles aren't going to have that issue. Screen tearing is going to be minimal anyway because it's going to be 4K 60, if that makes sense. You're going to have 4K 60. The target's going to be 4K 60. You're not going to have screen tearing at 4K 120 because they're not going to really be doing that. And they'll apply an internal VSync to compensate for that. So don't worry about screen tearing. Will it be a better experience with variable refresh rate? With G-Sync, with FreeSync, yes, it'll be a smooth experience. There'll be no hitching. It'll be buttery smooth. 4K 60 is very smooth as well. I'm just saying, don't base your whole purchase on that. Don't make yourself feel like you made a mistake with a display you have. Some of you bought very high-end displays. You're still fine. Those displays are still as beautiful as ever. Some of those displays look better than current ones. I love the Q9FN, the Q8FN. I love those displays, but don't get less picture quality. Still base it on picture quality. PC gaming, yes, it's confusing because it's about performance, and a lot of PC gamers will go performance before visuals. Many of us coming from consoles and spending thousands on TVs, a lot of us are visuals first, then performance. 60 FPS is an amazing benchmark performance, where to be, and the visuals. Give me beautiful visuals at 60 FPS versus very fast frame rate and faded colors. So have confidence in your purchase. Don't be too hard on yourself if you purchase something recently. Enjoy it. Don't look at it differently like you made a mistake. Don't get caught up in the marketing that you need something you don't need just yet. It will be there at some point. But trust me that when 4K 120 becomes commonplace 8K is going to become more commonplace than your 12-bit panels. So we're not going to, it's going to be like this anyway. But don't be so hard on yourselves. I know it seems ridiculous to worry about this stuff right now with all that's happening. But that's the issue with things that bother us. They tend to bother us more when things are bad. We do focus on the things that are in our house when we're stuck in our houses. But don't beat yourself up. If you're super uncertain, wait. There's no harm in waiting. Prices will go down. If you want an HDMI 2.1 display, they're going to be coming out, but you're going to want to wait to see if they're full bandwidth, to make sure they're not capped, to make sure they're not 8K at 30, but they're not, just make sure they're not capped. Make sure they're full bandwidth. Those specifications will be available from the manufacturers. Take your time. But if you have these displays that are capable and you don't need to upgrade for anything other than size, don't upgrade. Especially if you're happy with the picture quality. If you want something that's brighter, has a better black level, you want Dolby Vision, upgrade all day. But please don't make yourself nuts upgrading for HDMI 2.1 that you won't be able to fully utilize, especially since the consoles are a year away. Fall, next year. I mean, who knows, they might be delayed. Let them come out, see how their launches go, then maybe make your purchase. Again, size, all those other things, upgrade all day. But not because of HDMI 2.1 solely. Only because the whole point of the whole video is not a single one of you that has 4K 60 right now is missing out on anything. All right, guys, sorry about the very long video. I know this is a random topic, but many of you in the comments have asked for it. You are nervous about it. You're having regrets about what you purchased. If you just purchased the display in the last few years, guys, before I go, as long as your display can do 4K 60, it's full bandwidth, you're good. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not good. You guys have HDR displays. I don't care how far back you go. Go back 2016. Go back 2015. Even those displays that didn't have HDR, you can do 4K 60. You're okay. You'll enjoy the displays. But even if you have the best HDR, you have HDR included. That's what this is all going to be about. And again, ray tracing, you hear that. That will be HDMI 2.1 or 2.0. The RTX 2080 Ti and the 2080 ray tracing, they already have it. And they're HDMI 2.0. You'll be able to see that now. So don't needlessly upgrade. Don't make yourself nuts. Don't make a bad decision. And if you're going to upgrade, you're going to upgrade. But just don't do it for that one feature just yet, because you'll be able to visually see it on what you already have. All right, guys, I am Brian at WhisperStatus74. Sorry about the long video. I am here if you need me. I will see you in the comments. Thank you. I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.